That's right. Fried bologna sandwiches, processed bread, mayo and tomato. Just do it right. Ladies, Mama Mindset is sponsored by Primally Pure. It is a skincare company that I believe very, very passionately in. I started using their products more than 5 years ago and haven't looked back. One of my favorite products that they offer is their natural deodorant. I guarantee you will not find a better natural deodorant anywhere else on the market. When I started on this journey as a stay-at-home mom, 7 years ago, I went on a long journey trying to find clean products for myself and my family. I wanted to clean up the environment that we were living in, and I stumbled across Primally Pure, recommended by a friend actually, and I haven't looked back. Now, not only do I use a multitude of their products, but my mother uses them as well. So, as a gift to you, as being our sponsor, I want to make sure that you get 10% off your first purchase with them. So please use the discount code Mama Mindset at checkout. Again, that's primallypure.com, discount code Mama Mindset for 10% off your first purchase. I guarantee you're going to love the deodorant. I guarantee you're going to love their products. So go check them out today. Hey, sweet mama friend. Welcome back to another episode of Mama Mindset. And as always, I'm your host and creator, Amy Cawthron. Today's episode, I'm going to try and make short and sweet because it's something I just was thinking about today. And I put a movie on for the girls because it decided to storm this afternoon. And so we canceled our hike we were maybe going to go on. And I decided to put on, of course, Hocus Pocus. And now I have to face the laundry and I have to get that sorted. So I wanted to hop on here really quick, take 15 minutes and just talk to you a little bit about what I was thinking today with just some real life stuff that we experience in our lives, in my life. I know we've talked a lot about identity and how we latch on to our identities, and it really limits us. It limits us from our capabilities. It limits us from experiencing life. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about today and dive a little deeper in is identity. So I had, this is kind of a funny story, but let me rewind. We eat pretty healthy in the house. You know, we grow a lot of our own produce. We do some canning and preserving. We hunt, we get everything as local as possible. And, we try our very, very best to eat healthy. However, this is just one example, but people latch on to food, even specifically, as a form of identity. So you label yourself as vegan or vegetarian. And I'm not saying, again, that there's anything wrong with that whatsoever, but there are times where this really limits us and limits the experiences that we have for our children. So we don't eat, a whole lot of like super processed lunch meat. If we have lunch meat, I typically get it from the deli. But I was walking through the grocery store the other day and I saw bologna of all things. Like one of the worst things that you could eat on a sandwich is bologna. But how many of us as kids grew up eating bologna sandwiches? I mean, I remember taking bologna sandwiches in my lunch every single day, or peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every single day. And so one of the things that I was watching my candle back here. I'm going to go ahead and blow that out. It's getting a little intense. Now it's going to smoke. Anyways, welcome to real life podcasting in real time. Candles can get out of control. So one of the things that we had as kids growing up was bologna sandwiches. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, like my kids are not going to have bologna. It's so bad for you. They've done all these studies and all this research. Now, I don't know. I had this inkling to buy bologna for the kids and make fried bologna sandwiches. That's right. Fried bologna sandwiches, processed bread, mayo and tomato, just do it right. And I did it, and if I would be holding on to this identity that I have for myself of always eating healthy and always making healthy choices, my kids would never get to experience some of like the fun things that make up childhood, and I don't feel like that sets them up for success later on, but it also limits us. So I bought the bologna. We made fried bologna sandwiches today. Actually, I bought a bag of Cheeto puffs because Gracie's been asking about them, and we very rarely have food like that in the house, but it's rare. However, I'm not the type of person that's going to latch onto that identity and say always or never. So by buying the bologna, having fried bologna sandwiches, and giving them Cheeto puffs after a very healthy breakfast, they decided that they didn't want a fried bologna sandwich. Gracie decided she didn't even like bologna, and they only ate a couple of Cheeto puffs because they weren't even that hungry because we filled our bellies full of healthy food in the morning. So it was funny because, we get ourselves all worked up and all worried about stepping out of these identities and stepping out of our own boundaries we set for ourselves for fear of hurting ourselves, hurting our children, something, negative that's going to happen. And it turns out the kids made a decision all on their own to eat something healthy. And the kids made a decision on their own that they really weren't that hungry for lunch today. So it was just a really interesting example to me of if I would have latched onto my identity of always eating healthy and never buying processed foods, we would never get to experience some of these things. And it was very nostalgic for me. I know that sounds weird, but food has memories and food creates memories. So for me to talk about like what I used to eat as a kid for lunches, fried bologna sandwiches, and kind of relive that moment, kind of like relit this energy within me, this kind of spark within me today that I was lacking sort of this morning. And it was fun. It was so fun. And even though the kids didn't like it, it was fun for me. This isn't necessarily about parenting. This is about us as moms. And it was fun for me to step outside of the boundaries that I create for myself in saying, we don't eat bologna in the house. Well, I bought the bologna, stepped outside of that boundary, and ended up really enjoying it. I ate a fried bologna sandwich today, and I don't remember the last time. It's been years since I've had a fried bologna sandwich, and it was so much fun. It was just fun to relive a little bit of my history, relive a little bit of my past, and kind of like I said, step outside that personal boundary that I've set for myself and that personal identity I've set for myself, and experience something that I used to experience, or even experience something new. So a lot of people have kind of like latched themselves onto identities with COVID. And I'll use an example from when we were in Las Vegas. When we were in Vegas, we contemplated not going for personal reasons in how we feel about the mask mandates. And we're not like aggressive about it. We're not rude about it. It's just a personal belief that we have based on our values and what we understand and what we know. Okay. And that is our personal choice. That is what we have decided. And we almost didn't go. And we did end up going because we just decided like this would all limit us. These boundaries that they have set for us, if we had stayed within the boundaries that we have for ourselves, it would have limited an experience for us. So we decided to go stick to what we believe in and what we know to the best of our abilities, which we were able to actually do so pretty flexibly. And I'll just be really honest in I don't want to wear a mask all the time. Like I just don't. And I'm not going to. I'm just not. And so I didn't want to have to fly because I was like, well, we've set this, boundary for ourselves. And we've said, we're not going to wear masks because that's just our personal belief. Take it or leave it. I know that there's people listening that will disagree, and I completely respect that. I just hope that you don't turn this podcast off just because we have different views and different values, because again, that would limit you as well. And this whole episode is about breaking through those boundaries and identities that we have within ourselves. So if we wouldn't have went on this trip because we don't agree with wearing masks, I wouldn't have experienced this absolutely amazing trip in Vegas with Brad. We had such a great time. So we got on the airplane and wore our masks. Was I happy about it? Absolutely not. We tried to take them off as much as we could in the airport. Nobody ever said anything to us, by the way. Not a single word about us walking around Seattle airport without our mask on. So we took our masks off and we didn't have our masks on in the hotel. A couple of times we were asked to put them on, and then we just walked outside. You don't have to have them on outside when you're in Vegas, which again doesn't make any sense to me, but that's a podcast for a whole other time. So we went outside. What our identity has been in that we are not going to wear masks anymore. And if a business asks us to wear a mask, we just won't go in that business. And that's just our personal beliefs. That's just our personal values. However, if we wouldn't have gone on this trip, we wouldn't have experienced that. So instead of latching on to like, I'm always going to wear a mask, or I'm never going to wear a mask, or I'm never going to give this business money, or we're, supporting this business because of what they believe in, and just really sticking within like literally an identity. We have identified ourselves within these constraints and our values and our belief system. We've completely boxed ourselves in. But I want you to understand that it is okay to step outside of that, based on a situation, based on a certain circumstance. It's okay to get on an airplane and put a mask on, then get off your airplane in the airport or in Vegas or wherever it is you're going and take it off and not agree with what they're asking you to do, but still, get on an airplane and do it. So I hope this is making sense to you. The bottom line is don't stop experiencing life and opportunities and saying yes to opportunities just because of the way you've identified yourself. So if you have identified yourself as, we'll go back to food, for example. If you've identified yourself as somebody who only eats organic, non-processed, sugar-free food, and you go to the county fair and you don't eat or experience or give your kids any of the fun fair food, I really believe, my personal belief is that you're limiting yourself and the experiences that you're bringing to your kids. It is not going to hurt anybody to have an elephant ear once a year. It's not going to hurt anybody to get some curly fries and ketchup, drown them in ketchup. I mean, come on, when we were kids, how fun was it to go to the county fair and eat all of the fair food? And you're limiting yourself from enjoying these experiences that we used to have when we were kids by saying, no, we as a family aren't going to eat bad foods. We as a family aren't going to eat processed food. We aren't going to eat any of like this type of stuff. Or, even if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, like I want you to know, and there's so many people that aren't going to agree with this, but I want you to know, like, it's okay. Even though you've said like, I'm vegan or I'm vegetarian, it's okay for you to maybe let your kids try a couple of things and then make a decision for themselves later on. It's okay if that one time you want to eat a beautiful, juicy steak at a really expensive restaurant. And I know that some people would be like, no, like it doesn't even sound good to me. That's totally fine. But if you're wanting to experience something like that, if you're wanting to enjoy the steak, but you're like, oh, shoot, I can't because I'm a vegetarian, or I can't do this because of my beliefs around food, but I really want to just this one time. I want to relive my childhood. Then freaking go do that. Go do that and enjoy it. Buy the bologna and the Cheeto puffs for your kids and let them enjoy it every once in a while. If I were to say, like when we were kids, like, I mean, I'm just even going to say it, like going to McDonald's, like was a super big deal. And it really is in our house. Like it's a really big deal for us to go and get a treat from there because it's a treat, right? This is not something we do on a regular basis. It's something that we do every once in a while. But if I were to say like, absolutely not, we're never going there. We're never experiencing any kind of fast food. You're never going to get a Happy Meal. Like it just limits our experiences, and it limits the kids' experiences and just the joy that it can bring us as parents. There's so many examples that we could talk about of identity and how we've identified ourselves and how that's limiting us. But I want you to remember that some of the things that we really love and really enjoy doing are the things that we used to do when we were children. And as parents, especially, I know a lot of my listeners are, we're in our 30s, and if you're not, like, don't feel like I'm, discounting you or not including you, but I just know that most of my demographics are, moms, women in their 30s. And so a lot of what we've tried to do now is create our own lives, right? Create our own boundaries and our own identities. And we worked really, really hard to do that. We've worked really, really hard to identify who we are and things that we believe in and the way that we view the world. But I do want you to remember that some of the things that could bring you the most joy and the most amount of pleasure in your life are things that you experienced as a child. And the things that we've experienced as a child have created these amazing memories and these amazing warm, fuzzy feelings in us. And if we never went back to that, if we never experienced some of those things because of the identity that we've created for ourselves now, and our stubbornness in stepping outside of that boundary, that box that we put ourselves in within that identity, if we never step out of that, then you really limit the amount of joy and the pleasure that you can bring into your life. So the bologna sandwich story just really had me thinking again, about identities and letting go of things. And one of the other things that I had thought about, and in my own personal life, because I do a lot of self-reflecting and I'm pretty self-aware. Actually, I'm very self-aware. And a lot of the times I second guess or question, who I am, because I'm not 100% organic. I'm not 100% clean products. I'm not 100% this or 100% that. Like, I don't always recycle. I don't always do these things 100% of the time. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I'm a fake, I'm a fraud or whatever. But the reality is that that's just me. That's just how I am. I make very conscious efforts to recycle. I make very conscious efforts to buy products that are good to put on my family and myself, good products to put in my house. But I burn a candle. I'll burn a candle as a gift. And a lot of times I'll burn it for a little while and then I'll just throw it away. But I still do some of the things that make me question whether or not I should be doing it if I'm not 100% in. So, I have all of these essential oils, but I don't make my own lotion or really do a whole lot with them. So I'm like, oh gosh, am I like an essential oil fraud because I don't dive all in and do all of the things? Am I not the best gardener or like not a true gardener because this year we didn't actually can anything. We didn't get a chance to actually can anything. My tomatoes didn't turn out very well. I had kind of a bad year of tomatoes. And so it wasn't a big priority for me. A lot of them went to the chickens. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, like maybe I'm not this person that I thought I would be, but that's bullshit, because I am. I still love canning. Do I do it to a huge extent where I'm preserving things for an entire year for my family? No, that's not what I do right now. Maybe I'll do that next year. Maybe I'll do that 2 years from now. And that's okay. We can be a little bit of everything. You don't have to identify yourself 100% as one type of person, one single person. I'm a little bit of everything. I'm a little bit girly. I'm a little bit tomboy. I'm a little bit hippie. I'm a little bit country, but I also love to be in the city. Like I'm a little bit of everything, and that's really okay. And I hope that you as a woman and as a mom knows that a little bit of everything, dabbling in this and dabbling in that and trying new things doesn't make you flighty, and it doesn't make you unaccomplished. It makes you well-rounded. It makes you a very universal person with universal experiences that you can then teach your children and they'll be able to experience things. So, we try and do as much as we can with the girls as well-rounded as we can be. But, some people will make all of their own clothes. Like I buy mine at Stitch Fix. I'm not like I only buy local, I only shop local small shops. Like I don't. I get some things on Amazon because we live really rural and I can't get a lot of things. I can't just go shopping and buy things. So we buy things on Amazon. I do shop at Walmart on occasion. We buy things at Costco, but I also get my chicken feed and some of the other products from a local store that's been here for a really long time. I'll go into our local auto shop for tire issues or anything that I need around the house, like quickly. I'll go to my local grocery store if I just need a couple of things instead of driving in and buying from Walmart or whatever. So I just want you to know that all of that is okay. You can do a little bit of everything, and you can step outside of your identity and how you've identified yourself to experience something, to find the convenience in something, and to enjoy life. If it gives you more time, if it gives you more space, if it gives you some freedom, if it gives you some joy and some smiles and some happiness because you're reliving something from your past, or you're trying something new that you've never experienced before, even though it's outside of your quote identity or how you've identified yourself as an individual, then that's okay. Then that's totally, totally okay. If you identify yourself as a traveler and you travel all the time, and that's just kind of who you are, and you've identified yourself as that way, but you're feeling super burnt out, you're feeling very overwhelmed. Maybe you have 3 kids now and traveling just isn't as easy, or it's not as fun, but you're like, we're a traveling family. I'm going to go, go, go. Like, we have to do this. And you push through just to prove something or to show people who you are, and end up not having a good time. Like, it's okay to take a step back. If you're a hiker and you have 3 kids and going hiking sounds fucking awful, then don't go hiking, but don't keep doing it if you're not finding the joy in it. If you're just doing it because that's how you've identified yourself and within that activity, I just don't feel like that is serving yourself. I don't feel like that's serving your family. So I'm giving you my blessing and my words of wisdom to go forth and step outside of your identity, to try new things and experience things and share things with your kids and share things with your family, instead of staying within the constraints of this life that you've created and this identity that you've created, because it's okay. And if anybody, here's the disclaimer, if anybody judges you for it at all, first of all, you need to get a thicker skin and let that bounce right off you. Second of all, they're probably not really your friend anyways. And it doesn't matter. Their opinion of you is just a reflection of their insecurities. Okay. So if people are like, well, I thought you traveled all the time, or I thought you were a hiker and you haven't gone hiking in a year, is everything okay? Like, it's okay to be like, yeah, everything's fine. I'm just not enjoying doing it with my kids right now. Maybe I'll get back to it next year, but I needed to take a little break. I needed to take a step back. Like, that is literally okay. And it is none of their business, first of all. But if you do feel like you need to respond or want to respond, then that's okay too. But just know that their opinion or their judgment of the decisions that you're making is just a reflection of their own insecurities, of their own selves. And it has nothing to do truly, truly with you. It's their issue with the fact that you are a certain way, or you've identified yourself a certain way, and it makes them a little uncomfortable that you've pivoted. So, and don't be surprised if people do that or say that. Like, if you're at the fair with friends and they're like, oh, what? How are you eating those French fries right now? Or, I can't believe you had a hot dog. I thought you were vegetarian. Like, yeah, but you know what? I wanted to relive my childhood today, and I'm going to eat this hot dog and probably get a tummy ache. But you know what? If you want to do that, then go do that. Enjoy that and have fun. It should be about having fun. And if you're limiting yourself, your experiences and the fun that you're having in your life because of this identity that you've created, because of how you identify yourself, it makes me sad. It makes me really, really sad, because I see it a lot. I see it all the time. And who knows, stepping outside of your personal boundaries, stepping outside of that identity that you've created for yourself could open up a whole other door for you. It could open up an entire new experience, something that you've never experienced before, which leads to other experiences. You just never know what could happen if you follow your heart. And a lot of that comes back to just following our hearts, following our deepest desires and what feels good, what you want to do. Do what you want to do and squash the identity, squash it. Just live a life full of joy, full of fulfillment. And again, a lot of that comes back to reliving some things from your childhood. So, okay, well, I'm going to go watch Hocus Pocus. I hear Lily's awake as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast episode. If you did, please share this with another mama friend. Again, that's the only fee that I ask for this podcast. I don't really run ads at all. I just ask that you share this with another mama, share it to your stories. If you're not sure how to do that, just take a screenshot of you listening to it, post it into your stories. In the sticker up above, you can tag me and Mama Mindset, tag the Mama Mindset Instagram page so I see it. And again, thank you so much for listening. I've absolutely loved building this community. It's growing, which is so exciting. I know that this is helping a lot of mamas out there. So again, if you found value in today's episode, please share it with another mama today. And please remember, as always, I believe in you. I care about you, and I'm so incredibly proud of every single one of you. Thank you so much for listening today. I am signing off to go watch Hocus Pocus with my daughters and tackle the laundry. All right. Thanks, Mama. I will talk to you all again soon.